everyone. Remember when this was a Tekken channel? Man, I am happy we got out of there just in the nick of time, too. I would like to apologize to all of the wayward souls that I might have banished to this eternal hell. I just want you to know there is help available. If you happen to still be playing Tekken, consider joining the Discord, talk to somebody, We can redirect you, we can help you, we can get you out of there, all right? Today we're going to be talking about Skullgirls, and I know this game has been out for like 13 years now, but if you would indulge me, I would really appreciate if you could pretend like you don't know anything about it, okay? Because we're going to be talking about it, we're going to be going over it, we're going to be explaining what makes it so cool, unique, special. So I need you to pretend like you don't already know all of these things, okay? We're also going to be trying to provide like a couple of beginners resources. So if that's your jam, you're a beginner, you're going to be getting in here for the first time, you're comfortable. This is a good place to be. I've talked before on the channel about how I'm a big fan of tag games, but we're just kind of in a lull so far as that's concerned. Dragon Ball, I still think is really, really fun, but the fact that it didn't have rollback for most of its lifespan meant that I didn't really play it for most of its lifespan. And now that ship has kind of sailed in terms of like its relevance as a content production thing. 2XKO, I've talked about how I'm cautiously optimistic about it. I have a tremendous amount of faith in that dev team overall. I think they're going to make a really good quality fighting game. I am not sure if it's going to be for me. Remains to be seen, but it seems like we might be getting that sooner rather than later. That part is exciting, genuinely. And I've also talked about how probably my most anticipated fighting game of the year is Nin Impact, just because it's made by Aiding, it has the Hunter x Hunter IP, and I am willing to ignore the fact that it looks like every frame of that game was scribbled quickly on the back of a napkin. All right, I'll overlook it if the game's really, really fun. Okay, I do want to play it. I do want to give it a whirl. I was kind of in this lull where I wasn't really sure what I was going to play, so I decided to just make what I deem a poverty setup. It's just an Asus ROG Ally. It's basically a Steam Deck. And I was just going to bring it to locals, and it's just loaded with a ton of poverty games. We're talking about like Million Arthur, like your Koihime Inbus, just, what else? You gotta have Kyanta on there, just like games that people would not expect somebody to be bringing to a local. That's the setup that I have, just a bunch of random nonsense. Well, when I went out to locals about 3 weeks ago, I happened to run into somebody who was a self-proclaimed very, very strong Skullgirls player. And when I went back home and I looked them up, indeed, they were a very, very strong Skullgirls player, somebody who had placed top 8 at EVO multiple times. And I'm sure at a couple of other majors too, but yeah, very strong player. I'm not going to dox specifically who it is, but I ended up talking to some of my friends that were local in the area, and just knowing that there's a strong enough player in a game like this, we're the type of people where that incentivizes us to want to play. We like playing against really strong players. It makes you better pretty much just as a fighting game player. So I decided to re-download Skullgirls and, give it a real college try this time. I've got to say, over the past 3 weeks of playing Skullgirls with like a serious, dedicated mindset, I've fallen pretty head over heels with the game, to the degree where I'm now no longer concerned if 2XKO and Nin Impact happen to come out and kind of fall flat on their face as far as my personal taste is concerned. Because it feels like I'm going to have a game that I can play and grind and hustle at anyway, so really, really nice. I really like this feeling. So in Skullgirls, the game just feels tremendously rich, and like there is just a ton of room to explore and be inventive and be creative and all of that sort of stuff. So in a lot of other tag games, like let's say Marvel 2 and Marvel Infinite, it's a 4-button game where you've got like a light punch, a hard punch, a light kick, a heavy kick. Marvel 3, you have a light, medium, heavy, and then your 4th button is kind of a function button where it helps you get in and out of that super jump height. And then in Dragon Ball, you're kind of back to a 4-button thing again, where you again have light, medium, heavy across the top, but it's not really fair to say that key is a function button because it can do so many different things depending on so many different characters and all of that. In this game, you just have straight up 6 buttons, just straight 6 buttons. You have light punch, medium punch, heavy punch, light kick, medium kick, heavy kick. And beyond that, these characters have a ton of command normals. So if I do 6 light punch, I get Parasol's standing overhead. If I do 6 medium punch, I get the standing low. If I do forward heavy kick, I get this launching, this launching overhead, right? Forward heavy punch is this long range poke that I frankly don't use very much, and maybe I should. I don't know. I'm bad still. But there are a ton of different command normals, and even beyond that, some of these characters have really bizarre normals. I mean, Parasol has a couple, but she's relatively standard. We're talking about Dahlia. Like, this crouching medium kick is just a little trap that she, sets out, right? Her standing heavy punch is an overhead that sort of bounces and launches the opponent. Her jumping heavy kick is this weird, like, yo-yo, right? So these characters have all sorts of like weird and interesting and quirky buttons to them, and a lot of different buttons to them as well, right? So there is a lot of different stuff that you could do. Beyond that, the system is very open, and that like there's a lot of freedom with what you want to do with your character at any given point in time. So people are really used to, you hit somebody with a normal move and you're able to go into a special, right? Totally normal. What you might not be used to if you haven't played something like a King of Fighters or something like that is being able to whiff a button and still cancel in special, right? So you could also do it on startup, do it once it's actually whiffed, all of that sort of stuff, right? So tremendous amount of freedom. So this game has a very reliable infinite protection system. So the way that it kind of works, I'm still figuring out all of the specific details myself, but the way that it kind of works is that the game will keep track of the moves that you use in your combo. And if you happen to use a particular move too many times, then of the moves that you use in your combo. And if you happen to use a particular move too many times, then they'll just be able to pop out. They'll be given the ability to burst, and they'll be able to burst any subsequent hits that happen after that point as well. So just as like a quick visual example, hopefully I can do this. Yeah, so I tried to do that ground to air sequence twice, and because I had already used jumping medium kick, and it happened to log that, you can pay attention to this thing up in the top middle of the screen that kind of looks like an arcade stick, but not at all. Because it's keeping track of what moves you use. So once I do this, you see that the jumping medium kick happens to get logged there. So it's keeping track of the fact that I've used jumping medium kick, jumping heavy punch, and jumping heavy kick. So as soon as I go to do jumping medium kick again in that combo, it gives them the opportunity to pop out. And so, because the infinite protection system in this game is so strong and so reliable, it sort of means two things. One, the characters are allowed to be really strong and really fucked up without the game immediately devolving into like every character can one-hit KO you, like in really high-level Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or something like that. And two, it makes Skullgirls a very reset-heavy game, where the focus is on putting people into really compromising situations and trying to make them guess wrong effectively. So like the very level 1 Parasol mix-up is knock them in the air. You do something like this that kind of makes them float above you while you land. And you can cross under with a low. Cross under with the overhead. You can air throw them and then restand. Right? So you have a couple of different options there, but that setup would happen to be weak to like a falling button, because a lot of the layers of that are not necessarily quote unquote real or promised or guaranteed. So another layer might do something like this. Right? Where you can go for that kind of like overhead mix up, or you could do that, cross up, or a different one. Just land and go for a throw instead. Or you could like land and go for a low there probably. Yeah. So there are a bunch of different options just like out of a quick little setup like that. And so the effect that this has on gameplay is that, and some people might disagree with this take, but technically speaking, both players are frequently being given an opportunity to play the game in a way that, like, if you're playing like a Dragon Ball FighterZ, a lot of the time if your character gets hit, they're dead. There's no burst, there's no anything like that. You're just watching a movie of you dying for the next 15 seconds straight up. And so you can sort of like lean back in your chair, grab your water, take a sip, you can sort of chill, relax. In Skullgirls, you do have to stay engaged because at most points in your health bar, they are not going to be able to just outright kill you unless they have the proper resources. And you need to be on point for like what reset point or what setup you think is coming. What are the options that your opponent has presented in that particular situation, and trying to think of like what a good option would be to use in that situation. A lot of people will come into this game and they'll try to think like, oh man, a lot of these mix-ups, these situations, this set play is really, really difficult to like block against. And I would argue that that is the first problem. Sometimes blocking is a decent option. The other good options are mashing something. Sometimes it's mashing a button. Sometimes it's just inputting chicken block and seeing if that is going to work out. Sometimes it's mashing or buffering a super for whenever you think the reset point is. Maybe it's buffering throw if you think they're going to be like flush with you and you have enough time to do something like that, or you think a throw is coming. It's there are different options that are available to you that aren't just like pick a god and pray. Left standing. Okay, no, I got hit. Okay, you have more options than that. So I do think that the game is really, really engaging. Now, this is the team that I've been rocking with for a little while. I'll just kind of talk through my thought process for why I chose these characters where I did. And a reminder that I am bad. This is not a recommendation. This is not good logic. This is just what my thought process was, okay? My first thought process was I really wanted to play Parasol on point because I have boot up and played Skullgirls a little bit over the past 13 years that it's been out, and Parasol is always the character that I come back to. I just think her buttons and her toolkit are incredibly fun. I really, really like the tiers. I think they're a lot of fun. Being able to make them detonate with particular moves, super cool. I like the level 3, and I like canceling it and being able to like run in after it. I like the little army guys in general. The light kick one helps you to cancel things that you're doing. The medium kick one, which I can't do until he's gone away, helps to like block projectiles and like help you get in a little bit. And the heavy kick one can pick people up and drag them all the way to the wall. So if I happen to do like a back throw, it'll come pick them up. Another little setup for you. So yeah, I just think this character is a lot of fun. I think she has really, really good buttons. Really fucked up buttons. Really good neutral in terms of like these projectiles that you can shoot at a couple of different angles and will stay on the screen and then explode after the fact. Solid DP. Also the ability to like shoot these and then detonate them with the light kick flash kick that I frankly don't use enough. But wait, can I just... Is this like one of those moves where you can just like flick it down and up? No, it's not. Okay. There we go. But yeah, I just think this character's toolkit is incredibly fun. Buttons are really good. What's not to love? And the idea was I would be able to use the Snipe Super and DHC into Painwheel's install, which buffs up a lot of her, whatever this move is called. I actually don't know. In general, in tag games, being able to DHC into an install is just incredibly good. Really, really safe, and it's a nice thing to have in your arsenal. And I really like Painwheel. I think she's a lot of fun. So Painwheel is a heavy character, kind of sluggish to move around, right? But she has fly, and pushing any button causes her to unfly. So what this means is that you can kind of harass people with this quick flurry of ambiguous mix-ups, and there are ways to make it incredibly fucked up. Let's see if I can do this setup real quick. In fact, here, we'll just reset real quick, and I'll bring in Painwheel, and then we'll... This button will save the state. Okay. So there's like a little setup you can do. I kind of did it there. So you fly to the other side, you do this landing crouch, or this landing jumping medium kick, and then a crouching light punch, and you immediately go into fly. And like half the time you'll end up on one side of them, half the time you'll end up on the other side. And you're in a situation where you could either go for an overhead or you could land and go for a low as well. It's really kind of nasty. Ooh, I keep doing crouching medium kick there. I can launch them and go for a throw reset. Right. Really fun character. Painwheel also has some charging normals that will add armor to them and also give them additional properties at times. Like a charged heavy punch, boom, makes them stagger back and is a super armored button. Charging a crouch medium punch will crumble. I'm sorry. Why do I keep saying the wrong button? Charging crouch heavy punch will crumple the character and is also an armored overhead. Really fucked up. But Painwheel is another example of a character that has like some pretty weirdo buttons. Their launcher is on standing medium punch, which is a lot earlier than you would think it would be. But fortunately, they have another launcher in the form of standing heavy kick, which is also just a strange button. Like I've never seen a standing heavy kick that is like a 3-hitting almost vertical launcher. Standing medium kick is also kind of weird, where it like lifts them off the ground and is a multi-hitting move. Standing heavy punch is frankly pretty normal, and crouching heavy punch is also quite normal. Crouching medium punch is like a multi-hitting move as well. So that's pretty cool. But a lot of the times I'm doing like crouch light kick, crouch medium kick because they're very conventional normals. Right? But really, I mean, 90% of this character for me at the moment is just fly unfly. It's so annoying to try to figure out and block with, you know, the flurry of overheads and lows that are coming at you. And I think a lot of the times if you try to push block her and she happens to go into fly, or if she has like another move that she can connect with, she just won't get push blocked away. So she can be really fucking irritating to get off of you. And she's a rare character. So my opponents don't know what's happening to them. That's what I like. Dahlia is a character that I have since replaced on my team, but the thought process was pretty simple. As an assist, if I reset this again, as an assist, she just covers a lot of space. Like, it's really nice. Like a projectile that's going to be on screen for that long and is also arcing in that way is just really, really useful for doing all types of fucked up things to people. Right. I have to save the state before that. But Dahlia herself is definitely my weakest link as a character. But I just thought she was really cool, and I still think she's really cool. But I don't think she is the best fit for this team. I've worked on, or I'm starting to work on something that I think is going to work out a lot better. But she's just so cool. She, you know, you would do like a string into an install. And if you hold the button, you would be able to consume the install. Have just like basic ammo, right? But you have a super where you can load different types of ammo. So you could still use the basic one, but you have buckshot, which is really good for like wall bounce loops, pretty much anywhere. I'm pretty sure this is the beam, so I shot it up in the air like a jackass. But it's not like a slow moving projectile. It's just it's a beam. It's what a beam is. You have the napalm, where it'll bounce and then it'll do another explosion. Super nice. You have the freeze shot, which freeze shots someone, right? And you have the lightning one, which kind of shocks them and does a similar thing to the freeze shot, but like if you happen to do it on somebody who's in the air, they'll kind of like stay in place, as opposed to the freeze shot where they'll like fall to the ground and be in a restanded comboable state. So lots of different things to do with the ammo. She also has a little doily she can throw out and then teleport to, so that's pretty crazy. And the real thing that I really liked about her at first, and the reason why she was in this back slot, is because if I didn't have my assists anymore, and at least I would be able to use level 3, and I would just have my goons with me. And they would hold down the neutral for me. But I have since learned that this is not a reliable use of 3 bars. And while these girls are holding guns, they are occasionally reluctant to squeeze them. They won't shoot my opponents, and I need them to. So, I think Dahlia has definitely been the weakest link on my team because I don't think she has incredible synergy with the other 2 characters, first, and also I'm just not very good with her. I was thinking about it, and I was like, if I am going to try to take this game seriously, then I want to develop another team that I think is a little bit more worth. And so, this is the team that I'm working on, and I don't have a Fukua. Okay, I just don't. But there are so many like fucked up and interesting things that on paper you should be able to do with a shell like this. Like, this is not a real setup, but there was a cute thing I was doing, right? Where like I'm not actually sure what side that tier hit on, to be completely honest with you. Like I actually don't know what side that's hitting on. But I've seen even more fucked up setups than that. Like here, I'll just pull up that video real quick. Like just watch this. Just check this out, right? Is it gonna? There we go. Right? First of all, I'm pretty sure we reset twice here already. If I'm not mistaken, this hit crossed up for some reason. And then we get like another cross up right there. Cross under, yep. And then do the same thing. Jump over, and then they get overheaded, yep. Another setup, that's the overhead. Nope, just kidding. I'm actually command throwing your ass. Alright, guess again. Up, it's the low. Just kidding. Command throw. Alright. What is it this time? Just a low into overhead. A hard to blockable. Into air throw. Yep. Ooh. Not an air throw. Just buttons. Just buttons. This is the evil I'm trying to do to people. Yep, using the crouch heavy kick to slide under and then going for the throw. Yes. Absolutely. Please and thank you. Nah. Like, come on. This is how I know that I'm too evil to play modern fighting games. I'm so cooked. Like, fuck a 50-50 in Tekken. Let's go for like a 8%, 8%, 8%, 8%, 8%, 8%, 8%, 8%. Holy shit. Evil. Evil, evil, evil. Evil. Evil, evil, evil. So yeah, I don't have those yet, but by golly, someday I'm gonna be taking someone's lunch money. In the description of this video, I'm gonna be putting a couple of different resources that I think are really, really beneficial. I don't know what all I'm gonna put down there, but there are a few things that I know I'm going to put down there. One, I'm going to link the team builders guide or the team building guide because I just think it's a really, really nice resource. It's up to date. It's useful. It's good. There are a couple of different discords that I'm going to be putting down there. There's one that runs like beginner and intermediate brackets called Kanji House. I've been playing in those tournaments because I'm still technically an intermediate as somebody who is a veteran of fighting games, but admittedly new to Skullgirls. And what else? There's also another Discord. Is that the Handy Dandy House of Candy? Yes. What an insane name, by the way. But there's a bunch of different people in there that enjoy helping new players. So if you go in there, you kind of say like, hey, here's, the team that I'm thinking of building or the characters that I'm interested in. People will run to adopt you. It's very charming and very wholesome. And I'm also going to be putting the Discord to Get Great, which is a series that gets run on Twitch that admittedly I haven't watched very much of, so I don't know the particulars about how it works, but I believe they provide almost like I was going to say like a day 9 style lesson, but I don't know if that'll mean anything to you guys, but they'll do like VOD reviews and they'll talk about particular aspects of the games, and maybe some weeks they'll be helping out like an individual player, and other times they'll be giving a more broad lecture. But that's pretty good. And beyond that, it's also a Discord that's really good for finding matches with like beginner and intermediate level players. So I think those are really good places to have. And if I happen to think of any additional resources, they will also be down in the description below. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Go play Skullgirls. It's a very alive community. There are multiple tournaments being run at different skill levels every time throughout the week. Anytime that I hop on, there are a bunch of different people in quick play, and I'm just going to keep it a buck. The quick play people are going to take your lunch money. They just are. If you're brand new, you are allowed to select how many characters you want to be on your team. Just be solo for a while. Just find a character you really like, play that solo character until you start to feel really comfortable with them. And then you can add one more character to the mix. Play that team until you get really, really comfortable with them. And then you can add one more character to the mix. You don't necessarily have to jump into the deep end if you don't want to, right? You can take it one step at a time. Game has decent in-game tutorials and a couple of in-game combo trials that might help you get familiar with the characters' tools and how they flow into one another. But a lot of the advanced stuff that you might want to do in terms of like finding good resets for your characters, or good assists for your team and stuff like that, you're going to find those through like external resources. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Skullgirls, play it. Peace.